Let's be quick.
Relax. Okay, welcome back. We're gonna have sorry. I just bit my cheek. Hate that really badly. I apologize, everyone. We're back. We're gonna talk about budget adjustment. We're gonna start with VDH, Vermont Department of Health. This is all stuff we listened to the other day. They really only had two items in their budget adjustment. They're the perennial Agency of Digital Services, where essentially nothing we can do about that. So I'm going to recommend that we recommend that. And then there was a transfer from investment GC to the general fund for the family planning service grant, Planned Parenthood. So that was a wash, but not general fund wash.
It is an increase of, for the record, Nolan Langwell, the Joint Fiscal Office. So in the GC, investment GC is mixed state and federal. So it shows up as 300 general fund, but it's actually only an increase of maybe $170,000
Yeah.
in general fund.
Yes. The money we appropriated didn't change. It's just that it was more general fund than the mix of general and.
Yeah, but it's less general fund than 300,
Yes,
or less of an increase.
yes.
I think for people.
And that was loss of federal funding due to HR 1. So, any concerns from anyone on either one of these? No. All right. Let's move on to, let's go to DMH. And Department of Mental Health. Sorry, we talking acronyms.
So there's two listed.
Go to the one that says.
I think going ups and downs, there's no numbers.
Downs.
There's no numbers in their presentation.
That's under FY 2025 budget adjustment.
26.
26.
Yeah, why?
Nolan, would you be able to refresh us really quickly on their 4 items it appears that there's a change to?
Or let me, I still don't have a Zoom invite. Yeah, I still don't have it.
So, well, I can start with,
But I can walk through it. But I was going to pull it up on the screen.
they had an increase in transportation costs for youth and adults. And those were to various facilities with acronyms that I can't.
Vermont Psychiatric
Yeah.
and Riverside.
Yeah, they also, their forensic evaluations, they had an increased cost in those because they had more, their utilization was up. Again, the ADS paying for IT support. Every department, I think, comes in with that. And then they had an increase in their PNMI caseload and utilization. That's sort of services that need to be provided. So that's can't do anything about that. And the neutral federal revenue reconciliation, which I'm still unclear what that actually is, to be honest with you. Maybe.
I'm not sure about that either, but it's neutral. Oh, that's probably tied to reductions in Medicaid from the federal level, and and then just supplanting federal funds with general fund. I don't remember specifically which policy that was.
I don't recall that either.
It's not in the narrative. I don't think
It's not in their narrative.
Oh, you know what? It would be in this other one. Let me see here. 334. Give me a second here. Uh, 409. It just says grants, doesn't say what for. I don't remember what they were for. But just offsetting with GF.
I'm going to say that none of us can recall what they were for, so unless anyone has some strong feelings, it clearly didn't rise to the level of scrutiny.
400.
400.
But it's a wash, right?
It's a wash, but it's a down in federal funds. It's federal funds they didn't receive that they thought they were going to receive, and it's supplanted with general fund. So it was something we appropriated. We just thought we would have more federal funds for it, and we didn't.
So they're making good on it
Yes.
with federal, with GF.
Okay,
I'm okay with that.
let's move on to AHS. Diva, I'm sorry.
Which one is which number?
Did they not give us a narrative?
I haven't.
It was all narrative except for.
I'll tell you what, I will pull one up.
Okay.
And Tasha, if you go to Senate Appropriations today, you can pull it, because that one's more, the version that we had received had a typo.
Oh, yes,
They fixed it.
that's right. Forgot about that.
I'll pull it up also from.
What
So-
page, please, are you on?
We're gonna go to appropriations.
Nowhere yet.
It's under Deshaun, that's that giant spreadsheet.
No, you will. I'm
Oh,
gonna pull it up and I'm gonna put it on the screen.
Yeah, we're gonna look at it through Nolan's. Oh, here it is, find it.
Bless you.
Thanks.
All right. So this is. So we'll start with the admin. Extension of their contract for their CMO. I forgot what that stands for. Is this- No,
Yes.
is it? Okay. And then some MMIF stuff, again, contract stuff. And then ADS, help contracts for things. So this is all contract
Yeah.
adjustments that are typical mid-year for Diva. There's nothing, in my opinion, there's nothing out of the ordinary on these.
Yes. These come in frequently. So these are contracts that they have with contractors.
Implement their program, some aspect of their program.
Any concerns from anyone? All right, let's go to the, yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do they fluctuate a lot year to year, or how long are the contracts?
There's always a contract for something. So they have to rely on outside contractors for all kinds of outside expertise, usually dealing with like, for instance, they're constantly going to make changes to their eligibility system. Well, they can't do that. They have to constantly hire a contractor to do that. So it depends on how much it costs to do those things. So the amount fluctuates each year depending on what the need is. But the fact that there is an up in the contracting is not out of the ordinary. And sometimes they've come in and said, oh, we found deficiencies and we realized we don't need this contract for something we thought we did, and they'll ask for a down in it. So just kind of, but these numbers are always so big because everything with Diva is big because much of Medicaid in other departments flow through Diva. So they just have a very large budget. So it seems like big numbers, but relative to the gross, it's not.
Typically Diva, during budget adjustment comes in with the bulk of the budget adjustment or a large percentage of budget adjustment. Because all Medicaid funds flow through Diva. And that's a huge part of.
For the most part, nothing in this budget, maybe hopefully I don't eat my words, is new policy. It's like they would call it a clean budget adjustment where it's just implementing further implementing things that need to be carried forward or some adjustments from policy or administrative. They're not proposing. Sometimes agencies and departments do propose new policy, and some people can argue, is it a new policy or not a new policy? But I don't see anything in here that is new policy directly. Indirectly, there is. Indirectly, there is something you can articulate as new policy, but it's not their new policy.
All right, on to BAA admin budget. Can we skip over that slide
Sure.
let's skip over that.
Okay, so this first one is, this is the consensus update. So this is joint fiscal, me, and Emily getting together with DEVA and AHS and looking at what is the caseload, when we do the budget, we do this consensus forecast. This is how many people we think are going to be on the enrollment. This is what we think the costs are going to be. And this is how much we think costs are going to be. And the reason we have this consensus, and then signed off by the emergency board, which is the governor and the 4 money chairs. So the idea behind it is if we could all come to a bipartisan, multi-agency, multi-branch consensus on what the baseline costs are. We're not fighting over the baseline costs. In other states, each party puts out their estimates and they fight over the numbers as well as the policy. And here we don't fight over the numbers because it's consensus. What this is this is us looking at it halfway through the year and going, okay, there were some ups here and some downs here. And what we're seeing here is quite a bit of up again. And I can't tell you why. And when I'm going to be testifying at the E-board on Friday for 27 budget, or to get the consensus for 27. And we're continue to see some increase in caseloads, even though enrollments are still kind of going down. And there's no smoking gun. Some of the things I was talking to Stephanie Barrett earlier on, and she said some of it is just this continued rollout of redeterminations of just the higher, more expensive people that still haven't worked their way out of the system. Prescription drugs continues to always be a pressure. So those are some of the things, but there's no smoking gun. But this number, this 33.06, I will say is not a policy. This is JFO and administration coming together saying, yeah, there's more pressure than we thought there'd be.
And these are programs, so if you've qualified for this, we must provide the services that are utilized. We don't get to say, oops, we spent what we anticipated and money's up, so we're not going to cover you. So we don't have that option.
Some years, there's been a significant reductions, and they've been able to reallocate that money for other things. So we tend to take a conservative approach.
Okay.
We're seeing.
So ultimately, we can't do anything about this.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
So if they allocated a certain amount of money and they did not have enough, where do they get to cover anybody that was pre-qualified for school?
So this gets to the bigger question of what is budget adjustment, right? So budget adjustment across government is, you make a budget based on projections across everything, not just health, but fish and wildlife and transportation. And now you're 6 months in, the administration says, okay, we saw some increases here, some decreases there. We had some new expenses that we weren't anticipating. And then we thought we were going to do a program that we couldn't do. So we're asking them to put that money back. That money sort of goes back into the bigger picture of the pool of, okay, they're asking for the money from here to be used this way, the money from this to be used this way. There's no new revenues. It's just reallocations of money already in the cauldron of water.
Did we do that last year though? Did we add new money?
We do.
Yes.
We do budget adjustment every year.
No, but was there a new revenue source last year
Yeah.
in budget adjustment? I don't believe so.
I don't believe we had a budget adjustment last
There
year.
was one year we didn't have
It was
one.
recut.
Maybe it was last year.
So bring it in.
So they did it in the final bill, they did
Yeah.
like an extra section in the bill.
Yeah, we never voted on being,
Like,
Yeah, it got incorporated into the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that was a thing.
Okay, so then there's the reduction in the correct coding for the applied behavior analysis, and we're gonna take some testimony on this, just to let everyone know. So that's a down. There's the Medicare estimate, it's something inflation.
MEC,
MEI.
there's something, I don't remember what MEC stands
Yeah.
for, but basically this is how they pay the FQHCs, and this is adjustment for the methodology for how they pay the FQHCs. So this is not a new policy, this is just a readjustment of an existing policy.
Then there's the family planning rate that was not implementable, and I do hope that the administration will come forward and provide us with suggestions on how they could actually implement this. Because this is something that has been a priority for the legislature for quite some time, which is why we put it in the budget. And frankly, we are not drawing down the federal dollars that we should be, because it has not been implemented in many, many, many years. And we would like to implement that. So it's a down. Second, the other one is Planned Parenthood, who lost a year of funding under HR 1 and has not been able to be paid for any services they provide whatsoever under Medicaid, and state has stepped in and said we will pay that with general.
Yes, and I don't want to pound this. So leading off of my last question, is there any budget line or line budget, how do you say, item that has more wiggle room that you might take from? Like, are there any that you're like, okay, we don't have enough, so let's go see what they're doing here?
No, I understand the question. I think I don't have a more granular answer than my previous one, which is there's going to be ups and downs throughout the budget, and they use that to sort of fill the holes. And it's just more like internal accounting. They're not necessarily. This is really all about
budgeting.
This is all about, I guess one way to look at it is don't look at this in terms of like, there's a pool of money somewhere this is coming from.
Yeah.
This is about spending authority, right? This is about the authority to spend money. Where that money comes from is somewhere in a account or something somewhere. And if it isn't, then they would be asking for revenue, right? But that gets into it's a great question, by the way. So, but it gets into a weedier conversation for which I am not qualified to answer. Other than the fact that this is all about spending authority and not account balances.
They can't spend until we've said you may spend it.
Which is a good question, though. I don't want to discount it. It's a good question, but I don't have a good answer other than the fact that this is about spending.
On a budget we've already passed versus a new budget.
Correct. But I think the question that she's getting at is like, is there a pool of money somewhere this is drawing from when it goes above? And the answer is I don't have a good answer to that other than the fact that, yeah, but that gets into the weeds of the accounting piece, which I am not qualified to answer.
Take either paper.
Okay, let's get through these others real quickly.
Either.
So then there was one time, so there's this cloud migration. Is 2.8 million. This is not in the ups and downs, by the way, because it's in a different section of the budget.
Yeah.
700s.
Yeah.
And then there's 8 million for Brattleboro Retreat. This has to do with how they pay Brattleboro Retreat, and they had more. They have a contract with it, and they had more bed days than they expected. That said, right now it's 8 million or 7.9. Stephanie just testified in Senate appropriations an hour ago, less than an hour ago, 30 minutes ago, that they've been working on it internally, and she can say that number is actually gonna go down. She doesn't know what the number will go down to, but it is gonna go down.
But it's still a reconciliation based on a contract that they have with Brattleboro Retreat.
And it costs more than they anticipated.
Yes.
But but Brattleboro were provided the service,
Yes.
now we're just paying.
Yes.
Not a new contract versus,
And these were just funding updates. They're not.
yeah, that's just fun. Correct.
So let's go. First of all, does anyone have any concerns around any of the items that has been requested that they would not feel as though we would recommend to our appropriations committee that we not fund? We
I
all,
see a finger.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Actually, your name, please, because it was your committee asked.
Oh, we're
Okay.
going to, I'm jumping to them real quick. Let's talk about Bridges, because we did receive a request from Bridges in budget adjustment, because it is money that they need prior to the passage of fiscal year 27's budget. I want to remind people that the legislature appropriated the money to fund bridges in H91 of last year, so it wasn't in the budget. And H91 was vetoed, which meant that the appropriation for bridges didn't happen. And UVM Extension stepped in for funding to get them through. And this is now Bridges coming to us saying, can you please help us get out of UVM Extension and into free and referral clinics? Is there anyone who has strong feelings that that is not something that we should support?
I would just ask where that money would come from, because I know we don't have a lot of money to play with, so where, if we did say yes for that appropriation, where would it?
So this is a good question and a different question. So there was what the administration, how they're moving things around. Then the administration they provide a budget. We work within that total number.
Okay.
So we have to find 167,000 within that construct. So that's different. So the answer, the appropriations committee would have to find it someplace else in the budget.
We're not figuring out where they're gonna get it from. We're just making a recommendation to the appropriations committee. If we think you should go looking for this, and then it would be up to them to decide what ultimately to approve. I mean, we just get to weigh in on, as the policy committee, on whether or not we think that these things.
The difference between the two questions is the administration was saying, we have the funds, we're asking for the spending authority, so we have the funds. And here's our total appropriation. So when they give it to us, that becomes our box. Okay, if we want to spend more than is in that box, we have to find it from somewhere else within that box. And so again, it's a great question. And what this committee is doing is saying, we want to increase the spending and we're asking you to find the money. And the appropriations committee will look at it and look at all the asks that are above the governor's. And they might say, well, we don't agree with the governor's cut here. We don't agree with the new program here. But we're not going to do that. We're going to do these three things, right? So that comes built into their construct. And then you essentially vote on that as a body. I
Anyone,
encourage you to continue to follow it as it moves through.
anyone not? I'm gonna ask, is there anyone not in support of recommending that to appropriations that we support? Is there anyone who doesn't support this? Okay,
I appreciate the idea. And I feel like I'm a very passionate person. I just feel everything is so good. And I have the least amount of experience. It's hard for me to say this, it is the heart, my heart's pounding. So I'm just on the fence, this is what I've been thinking about when I wake up. This, it's hard. And I feel awful, but I'm struggling passing this.
Well, I will tell you, we're not gonna, and we only take a straw poll on this. It's not anything official. It's a straw poll amongst the committee. And then we present a budget letter to appropriations. And
I'm just.
I will just, I know, I will just say, when I present this in appropriations, I will simply say, and on a straw poll of, 6, 5, whatever, we vote to make these recommendations. So it doesn't, you can vote whichever way you wish. Is everyone, I have asked Jen to draft a letter and I've included this. I wanted to get the consensus of the committee if the majority felt we should include this in our letter. Yeah, I mean, not an official, but,
Straw poll.
okay. So
You're talking about bridges now?
just putting it in our letter. Okay, so we have the majority that would like it in the letter, so I've asked her to put it in the letter. We're gonna vote on the letter tomorrow. We're gonna straw poll the letter tomorrow. Last thing, and I know we have to get to the floor, and I'm very, very sorry about this. Last thing is regarding back to DIVA and essentially the budget adjustment rent. I think I just want to make a statement about this really quickly and then ask for whether or not I have the support of the committee in also including some language in the letter. First of all, this is a contract that has already been executed for the return to the office. The space has been rented. They are just asking for funding authority to pay that, which is contractually obligated at this point. So we don't have any concern over it, and I don't have any concern over it. And I personally don't feel it has anything to do with the return to office policy per se. I think the thing that I'm a little upset about is that the BAA is about an appropriation and spending authority, and it's not policy. And I feel as though the administration created policy abruptly, which is why it's being required in the BAA, and then came to the legislature for the spending authority for policy that the legislature wasn't able to vet. And I just feel as though this could have been vetted throughout the session, and then we could have gone to the return to office standard in the fiscal year 27 budget, rather than creating the policy and then just asking us for the spending authority. And I thought that if I had the consensus of the committee, and I'm just going to ask for a real quick straw poll, that we just include a little language in our letter that says, we approve this. However, we don't feel as though it's appropriate to create policy in the BAA, and we feel like this should have been rather in FY25 budget 27.
We have that argument with the GA housing problem.
What?
GA housing, creating policy, GA.
I'm not getting into.
I'm just saying, I get it. Yes, I
Yes.
support you.
Definitely. Okay. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the majority. So I'm going to include it in the letter, and
We can debate it further.
we can debate it further
Yeah.
when we get the letter. All right, I just wanted Jen to have time to draft it.
Thank
We'll talk about this tomorrow. We'll find time on the schedule.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody, let's give you the floor. Sorry. Thank you, Nolan.
We're not gonna get started, right? No, sorry.
No star.
Molly's gone.